So, I've been working on game development for 3 to 4 months now, and I thought this would be a good time to take stock of what I've learned, go over some of the challenges I've faced, and give you an idea of what it's like trying to pursue making games whilst working a full-time job. Hi, my name's Mike from Cappiche Games, and I'm working on my first ever game, TurtleRun. It's a 2D action platformer developed solely by me. I've been pretty much pouring every free minute I get into the project, and I'm planning to have the game finished and released in Q3 of 2024. I have a demo available on the TurtleRun Steam page, and if you enjoy it, make sure to add it to your wishlist. I'm currently sitting at 52 wishlists, which is cool, but I'd like to get that as high as possible before releasing the game. So if you like the look of it, go and press the button. Just for a quick bit of background, I decided to get into developing games back in March after watching a few pirate software videos and being pretty heavily inspired. It's not something that really crossed my mind before. I've always loved gaming, but I had no idea how accessible game development had become. I studied and work as a software developer already, so when this sudden wave of inspiration hit me, I decided to just jump into it fully. I've always had a bit of a problem sticking with things that I try out, and have been a bit of a quitter. So I promised myself I would commit to at least 6 months of really giving this a go and see what happens. Worst case, I learn a bunch of cool new things and gain an appreciation for the work that goes into creating the games we love to play. The thing that's become the most apparent to me since starting game development is how difficult it is to make games. Not just from a technological standpoint, but other things that you might not consider, like just how big an endeavour creating something playable from scratch actually is. As the player, it's easy to overlook things like level design, the balance and feel of the game, and how much thought has gone into every little detail. As well as coding ability, which I was lucky enough to already possess. There are so many moving pieces that require a lot of thought and planning in order to create something that's actually fun. And my only experience is making a 2D platformer. 3D is another ballgame altogether. Despite all of this though, once you actually get started, you realise that all of these skills are just little building blocks, and you start to level up day by day as you progress. I think there are a lot of people who would love to try making games, but might be overwhelmed by the vastness of the field. But I think this quote from the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu is incredibly relevant. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And once you find the courage to take that first step and ignore the intrusive thoughts, you realise that you don't need to be good at everything all at once, and you don't need to be great at anything to get started. Using myself as an example, I am absolutely shambolic at art. I always have been. I can't draw, I can't paint, even my stick figures look ridiculous. So how could I possibly create a game when art is such a big part of the appeal? I could have just written the whole thing off and said, well, I can't do art, so there's no point in getting involved in game development. But that makes no sense. Firstly, you don't have to do everything yourself. Maybe you want to specialise in story writing or sound effects or coding. That's still an incredible journey to undertake. Secondly, you will get better. It's alright for your first game to be garbage or look terrible. The main thing is that you'll never get worse at something by doing it, and with enough patience and commitment, you'll eventually create something you're super proud of. And even if you don't, you can be proud of yourself for trying and not living with the lingering what ifs for the rest of your days. Take a look at the video of me designing parallax backgrounds for the beach zone in TurtleRun. You can see how terrible things are looking at the start versus how much better they look at the end of the video. And that was just over the course of a few hours. This wasn't meant to be motivational or preachy. If you don't want to make games, don't. But if you have that little itch somewhere deep inside, just take the plunge. It's not like you have to quit your job or give up the things you enjoy, and I know for me at least, it's become the thing I enjoy the most. Whenever I'm not working or spending time with my girlfriend and my dog, I'm working on my game. It's no masterpiece, but every day I surprise myself with how things are starting to come together, and if nothing else, it keeps me out of trouble being productive and creative. It's also really helped my mood as well. I don't think I knew it before, but I'd often spend my days feeling frustrated and being moody with the people around me. I think I knew something was missing, but I had no idea what it was. Who I was did not align with who I wanted to be, and all it took to change that was to have some purpose and focus with something I really enjoy. It doesn't even feel like work. And the best part of it all, I've realised what I want to do. Whether or not it ever becomes a full-time thing remains to be seen, and I won't know for a few years and until I've released a few games and really honed my skills. But I do know that I'll never look back on this as time wasted, and I found a lifelong hobby and something that I can share with my future children, and that gives me the warm and fuzzies. I'm by no means an expert. I don't even have a game released yet, but if you are on the fence and considering getting involved in game development, and maybe you just need some advice or a push in the right direction, join my Discord server and start the conversation. I'm always available there for a word of encouragement or to point at some resources that I've found helpful. Something I've struggled with a lot since starting game development is keeping up with my other responsibilities and not just plunging every second that I'm not working my day job into my own project. If you haven't managed to get going yet, this one might be a bit harder to relate to. You might think, what a nice problem to have, I can barely put an hour into working on my game without getting burned out, which I get. But it genuinely can be pretty problematic when you start to get obsessed and start letting other things like exercise and spending time with loved ones fall by the wayside. It's easy to fall into that grind set and think, I'll make it if I work harder than everyone else, which while there's definitely some truth to, all of this only really stays enjoyable if you have balance in your life and take care of what needs taken care of. I'm needing to get better at this. I've put on about £20 since starting game development, which is rough because I worked so hard for a long time to lose £90, and it does give me the fear of going back to that place of insecurity and being unhappy with myself. But it's good to call it out and acknowledge that while it's great that I'm committing to working on my game, it's not the be all and end all of my life. Another challenge I've found tricky to navigate is trying to make content here on YouTube whilst also working on my game. I think it's a really great thing to be slowly building up an audience alongside creating your game. It starts off very slowly and you really have to let go of any attachment to subscriber numbers or video views. But I think and hope that if I just remain consistent and keep improving the quality of my content, we can eventually build up a solid wee community here. I'm a pretty introverted person and I like to keep myself to myself. It was terrifying making my first upload or even speaking to the camera, but it's getting easier over time and the videos are getting better and are hopefully offering some value to you. Obviously it slows down the development process, which might not be ideal if you have a publisher with a set date for release or you've made promises about when your game is coming out. But I want to take advantage of the position I'm in right now, where I'm not beholden to anyone else's constraints and I can do things the way I want while learning along the way. I think the hit that the development time takes will be more than made up for with the exposure my projects will get by having an audience who can follow along the journey with me, and to be honest, it's just really enjoyable making videos, and it helps reinforce the ideas I have and reflect on the progress I've made, as well as giving me a well-needed rest from coding or artwork. It's probably a big part of the reason I haven't been burned out. I'm never doing the same thing for too long without something fresh coming up. If you'd like to have a look at how my development has progressed throughout TurtleRun's life cycle, I've got a devlogs playlist that I regularly update whenever something interesting comes up. Check that out. Currently I work 8 till 4, Monday till Friday, which obviously is a huge chunk of the week. It can sometimes be a bit daunting to spend all day on the PC working and then commit even more hours of the evening back at the PC. One thing that's really helped me make sure I always get at least something done is having a solid project management setup. I have a list of tickets that can be worked on that are marked as either features, bugs or polish. Maybe I'm having one of those days where I really can't muster up the strength to sit stuck for hours working on a complicated feature. I can just pick up one of those lingering bug tasks and get a quick win and keep the momentum rolling. Usually after doing that, I end up feeling like doing some more anyway, and I make far more progress than I thought I would have. The hardest part is always just turning up. I have the odd day where I'm really tired from work or it's been a long day and all I want to do is sit downstairs and play the Switch or watch a movie. But fixing that one quick bug is not really going to prevent me doing those things, and as I say, usually leads to me getting a few more hours of enjoyable development time in. I really believe momentum is key. I don't want to ever take too long away from the project or be distracted by the thoughts of just starting a new game. My goal is to complete this project no matter what, and once you truly get into that mindset, nothing can stop you doing what you set out to do. I think it ultimately comes down to, if you want it badly enough, you'll make the time. The game you'd rather play or the movie you'd rather watch is still going to be there after you've worked on your own project. And it's not just work, you're investing in yourself, which is always a positive thing. Everyone should do what they want to do, obviously, but I can honestly say that this is one of the most fulfilling and productive things I've ever spent my time on. And if you're one of those on the fencers I mentioned earlier, I really encourage you to bite the bullet and see what happens. As I mentioned before, my game TurtleRun is up on Steam, and it would honestly mean the world to me if you'd give the demo a go and give me some feedback. Wishlisting the game is a nice little boost for myself and the game as well. It feels really good when I check out the number and it's gone up. If it's not your sort of game, that's totally fine. But if you think you'll ever be interested in checking it out, adding it to your wish list means you'll be notified when it's released and you can take advantage of the new release discount. I hope you enjoyed the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. I'm trying to get a weekly upload out there amidst my busy schedule, so whether that's a devlog, an indie dev plays indie, or just a rogue update video like this one, subscribing is a great way to support the work I'm doing. If you have any ideas for content you'd like to see, let me know in the comments or on the Cappiche Games Discord. You're much appreciated as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.